Hello and welcome to the DX Corner for your weekly dose of DX. I'm Bill, AJ8B. I'd mentioned previously that our DX Club, the Southwest Ohio DX Association, had just published a special edition of the October newsletter dedicated to 160 meters. Scott, N4JN, Dave, K3BQ, and Ken, NS7 Victor, each dropped me a note and are now reading the newsletter. You can get a copy as well by emailing me at thedxmentor@gmail.com. The word for the week is antenna counterpoise. An antenna counterpoise is a system of conductors, usually wires or a metal screen, placed near the ground but insulated from it, designed to act as an artificial ground plane for an antenna. In simpler terms, it's a substitute for physical earth ground when a good ground connection is impractical. For instance, you have rocky soil, a rooftop installation, or even you're operating from your room or apartment. The purpose of the antenna counterpoise is that it completes the RF circuit. Just like a light bulb needs two wires, an antenna needs a return path for RF current. The counterpoise provides that path when the Earth cannot. The benefits are that it improves efficiency. Without a counterpoise, the antenna may radiate poorly and cause stray RF currents on the feed line. It also reduces common mode currents. This helps to prevent interference and it stabilizes impedance matching. Typical designs are radial wires where several wires radiate outward from the antenna base, often used for vertical antennas, or horizontal wires or screens, suspended above ground under the antenna. In summary, an antenna counterpoise is a deliberate conductor system that replaces or supplements earth ground, ensuring your antenna radiates efficiently and your feed line stays clean. Each week, I try to focus on those entities that will be available in the next 7 days. There's so much data to sift through that I thought a focus on next week might be helpful. Here's what you should find QRV when you tune the bands. The following DX information comes from Bernie, W3UR, editor of the DailyDX, the WeeklyDX, and the How's DX column in QST. If you would like a free 2-week trial of the DailyDX, your only source of real-time DX information, just drop me a note at thedxmentor@gmail.com. So we have an update on the Fox Whiskey 5 Kilo Wallace and Futuna DXpedition. With over 36,000 QSOs in the log, FW5 Kilo went QRT on November 1st. Alex, K6VHF, says that by the 31st, most of the antennas will be packed away. Of course, that has passed. They are QRT now. They really did a great job. And stay tuned for the DX Mentor because we're going to have Alex, K6VHF, and a crew member or two with us to kind of discuss the DXpedition. Well, speaking of DXpeditions that are QRT, we also have 5 Kilo Zero Uniform Alpha. This year's contest was a wild one, they said. One of the radios was dead on arrival, the amplifier failed early, and the 40-meter vertical snapped in the wind. It felt like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But they didn't quit. With backup gear, quick fixes, and a lot of teamwork, they pushed through the chaos. Despite the setbacks, they logged over 4,500 single sideband contacts, a result that they're proud of, and they should be. It was really a great DXpedition. Well, here's another one. 6 Oscar 3 Tango, the DXpedition to Somalia. Quote, mission accomplished. The team has wrapped up an unforgettable experience in one of the top 50 most wanted countries. The DXpedition has officially come to an end. With over 75,000 QSOs logged, our incredible radio adventure concludes in a country that hadn't been activated for a long time. Today, the team began the journey back home. After a well-deserved rest, QSO confirmations will start via LoTW for those who made their request through OQRS. Then paper QSLs will be mailed out, followed by bureau cards, again for OQRS requests. A huge thank you to ClubLog for their constant support and valuable contribution to the amateur radio community. A detailed article about our adventure will follow soon. Thank you all for contacting us and for your trust, end quote. And that was from the group IV3JPP, IV3FSG, and IV3AZV. Well, these guys have really been active. This is 9 Uniform 1 radio uniform from Burundi. We now have been QRV for 4.5 days, running up to 10 high-power stations on 6 meters through 160. We are currently at 43,500 QSOs from this mountainside QTH, which is 2,340 meters above sea level. Quote, Please know that we are still experiencing electrical power issues and outages even with additional generators. For this reason, we encourage you to check club log to see if you're in the log. We know some QSOs have not been completed as these power outages occur, so please work us again. Last night, we had a good FT8 run on 80 meters and 160 meters with good results to Europe, while not so favorable conditions to North America. We will continue to optimize our beverage receive system as well as the verticals we have on for transmit. We quote lost our 80-meter vertical the past 2 mornings from the high winds, which often occur at this elevation. We are in the process of remedying this situation by installing a more robust guy system that should withstand the wind. This morning, we relocated our 7-element 6-meter Yagi, which we believe should improve our path to Europe and North America. The previous location did not have a clear view in these directions due to obstructions from adjacent trees and hillsides. We have also constructed a dipole for 60 meters to be installed as a sloping dipole configuration from a very tall tree higher up the hillside behind our QTH. Look for us on 60 meters going forward. All operators are doing well and in great spirits with the focus on achieving team objectives. Please keep in mind that the plan for the 9 Uniform 1 RU DXpedition calls for us to be QRV until November 20th, so you still have 15 more days. We want to acknowledge and thank our sponsors, especially DX Engineering, Expert Electronics, REMO, the West Virginia DX Association, and the Arkansas DX Association. Likewise, we are most grateful to all of our individual donors for their support and generosity making 9U1RU possible. Thank you. 7-3 and all the best of DX from the 9U1RU DXpedition team, end quote. And they have been all over the bands and pretty darn workable. PY1 SAD Aldir is back in Guyana, which is 8 radio, and QRV once again from Georgetown is 8 radio 1 Tango Mike until December 7th. During the week, listen for him on CW, sideband, and the digital modes on 160 through 6 meters between 2300 Zulu and 0200 Zulu. Over the weekends, watch him to be on more often. And you can QSL that via PY1 SAD, via LoTW, QRZ, or eQSL. We do have a group on from Bolivia. Members of the Yaguaretçı DX Group have announced their plans to go back to Tarija, Bolivia as CP7DX until November 10th. In fact, they are QRV, and I've worked them. They plan to be active on 160, 80, 60, 40, 20, 15, 12, and 10 meters. QSL via LU1 FM. And again, that was CP7DX. Sierra Leone. Now, until November 10th, the Mediterraneo DX Club is QRV from Sierra Leone. They are using 9 Lima 8 Mike Delta until November 10th. Teams will rotate between the island, each staying 3 days and 2 nights, bringing all supplies and operating on bands from 40 through 6 meters, making the first 6-meter activation from there. Equipment includes a Flex 8600M radios and ICOM IC7000 for the 6-meter band, all running at 100 watts due to limited electricity. Although another report did say that 9 Lima 8 Mike Delta might run up to 600 watts on 6 meters with a 5-element Yagi, and that 9 Lima will run 100 watts on 6 meters into a 3-element Yagi. We'll have to see. Operators will log the contacts online, but real-time updates may not be available due to internet connectivity issues. So another African country, Tango Lima, the Central African Republic. Tango Juliet 1 Gulf Delta, Dark, began operating as TLA-GD on November 1st. Over the weekend, he was reported on 20, 15, 10 meters FT8. Dark plans to be QRV in his spare time on HF, on FT8, FT4, sideband, and CW until the end of the month. And you can QSL that via LoTW and Club Log. 4 Kilo, Azerbaijan. Calls 4 Kilo 8 November and 4 Juliet 8 November will be in use for Victory Day. They'll be QRV to November 15th. The actual day is November 8th. This is for the 2020 Patriotic War, a 44-day campaign where Azerbaijan's army retook their historical boundaries from 30 years earlier. As seen in the news, Azerbaijan and Armenia made peace recently. QSLs for this operation, as they say, it is paper QSLs, direct only. Toga, 5 Victor. 5 Victor 7 Radio United is QRV until November 19th with RA1ZZ and R9LR operating. They say it is unrelated to the 2022 operation under that call sign. This will be a holiday style using HFCW, single sideband, FT8, and the QO100 satellite with a focus on 160 and 80. Direct OQRS requests and all donors will get a first LoTW confirmation. Paper QSLs will be via Club Log OQRS with donations of $10 or more. Log corrections and questions can be sent to ra1zz@mail.ru. Well, Africa is being very busy right now. We have an update from 7 Quebec, which is Malawi. Upon reviewing his 6-meter 7 Quebec 6 mic log, Don, who's also known as K6ZO, notes that, based on historical propagation data, conditions on the magic band are likely to be favorable for openings between Malawi and North America in the coming days. Last Monday, 7 Quebec 5 Bravo Mike was heard on 6-meter FT8 in the central and eastern U.S. between 1340 and 1800 Zulu. North American operators should monitor for this opening. Gary Hall, W1VE, will operate remotely as 7 Quebec 2 Tango on 6-meter CW at 50.090 MHz, self-spotting on the DX network, typically between 1500 and 1900 Zulu, although activity will depend on the reliability of AC power. So here's an update on the DXpedition to Sable Island, Charlie Yankee 0 Sierra. The Sable Island CY0S DXpedition team is very pleased to announce the addition of Ralph Fedor, K0IR, to the team. Ralph is in the DX Hall of Fame and holds 10 DXpedition of the Year awards. The CY0S team is very excited about Ralph joining and their effort, which is scheduled for March 19th to the 31st, 2026. Ralph has activated some of the most remote and inhospitable places on Earth. His bio is on the cy0s.com website, and Ralph is a great guy and a terrific operator, and I know he's a great teammate. Planning continues to go well. The biggest challenge is working with significant weight limitations for the 2 flights on the Britten-Norman Islander aircraft. The weight allowances for the 2 flights are 1,306 kilograms or 2,880 pounds, which includes the weight of the 9 team members as well as their food and personal gear. The team members' weight, food, and personal gear accounts for 73% of the total weight allowance for the aircraft. Because of the strict weight allowance, all team members will be bringing freeze-dried meals for their stay on the island. Currently, the team gear is above the weight allowance, so the team is working on ways to come in under the allowance. It is a challenge, but the team is working diligently on this. Go to the website cy0s.com for many photos from our previous CY0S DXpeditions. And that all came from Murray, WA4DAN. Now here's the one I'm particularly interested in, Bangladesh, Sierra 2. The Bangladesh Telecommunications Regulatory Commission has officially granted special authorization for the upcoming DXpedition program to be held at the UNESCO World Heritage Site from 11 to 17 November 2025. That's a week away. All radio operations during this period will be conducted under the special event call sign Sierra 21 SDX, and you can QSL that operation via I-8 Kilo Hotel Charlie. The DX Mentor features a new podcast this weekend, a discussion with young op Pia DL7 PIA. Pia is one of the youngest hands to win the CQ Marathon contest in Europe in 2024. She is also an accomplished contester, a POTA operator, a violinist, a pianist. Well, you get the picture. Check it out. Let me know what you think. If you want to follow all the latest DX podcast and YouTube releases, you should check out the DX Mentor Facebook page and subscribe to be kept to date on all of the DX activities. So here's our contest updates. I know that the ARL contest sheet is read elsewhere in this podcast, and the contests that I mention are sometimes redundant. However, there are a few contests that I have found to be especially useful for DXers who are trying to fill band slots or work an all-time new one. I mentioned the French RAF 160-meter contest last week. This week, we have the All-Australian 160-meter contest. The dates and times are 1600 Zulu to 2359 Zulu, November 15, 2025. This is a CW contest. The suggested frequencies are 1810 to 1950 kilohertz. However, participants should carefully observe your national regulations for 160 meters. The exchange is RST and serial number. If you work any of this contest, drop me a note and let me know how you did. And you have to be careful on 160 because there really are no dedicated CW or phone segments. Historically, I stay toward the bottom for CW, but if the DX is up above, I'll go up above. If you would like a copy of the special Swadexa newsletter for October that has over 100 pages of articles about 160, again, just drop me a note and I will send it to you at thedxmentor@gmail.com. Until next week, this is Bill, AJB saying 7-3, and thanks to my ex-whale Karen for her love and support. I hope to hear you in the pileups. Have a great DX week.